Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary, and today we're going to be watching a crowned replay game. Indeed we are, and this is not just a crowned replay, it's not just an ordinary replay. This is an iconic game in Warcraft 3 history. It's for NGL1, as you can probably read very easily. NGL1, this is the 07-08 season. I don't quite remember exactly what it was, but this game was played back, in February of, early February maybe, of about 2008. So this is a pretty good game. It's very iconic. You might recognize it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but let's introduce our players. We do have MYM Lucifer spawning in as the gray undead on the left side of the map. The map is Lost Temple, and he's going up against mouz.ToD, who's actually going to go ahead and be spawning in as the dark green human on the right side of the map. Of course, you will notice there's some Chinese text. I believe that's because of a Chinese WOG TV or something. There's nothing I can really do to turn that off because it's the players chatting there, and it looks like that's what that is, but I can't say for sure. But anyway, so let's look at our players. Of course, remember this was in 2008. This version is 1.21, so things might not be quite the same as they are now, but it's not a huge issue. As we can see, Mouz, I'm just gonna call him Todd because it's like mouse or something. I guess it's mouz.ToD. But going with Archmage first, and as you can see, of course, getting a barracks up, early barracks, and he will scout with a militia. It's a very big map, 4-player map, and he needs to scout this location because if this is empty, it means he can pretty much take a very easy expo right off the bat. And as you can see, he's probably going to go for that regardless, but he'll be more prepared perhaps if it is that very close spawn. As a cross spawn, of course, your chances of doing that, as in getting over there in time to stop this as an undead player, very, very low. And as you can see, look, it's already coming. The militia already out. The Archmage is out right now. And of course, this is a very interesting build by Lucifer, because what he's done is he's built his altar after the ziggurat. As you can see, he's making a lot of goals. He does have a graveyard, so we might be seeing an expansion. Generally, this is the sort of build you'll play when you want to expand, because you do need a lot of wood early on. And if you want to go with a very fast expansion, you don't really want to be creeping with your hero because it takes up your goals, so you get less wood, so you generally delay your hero a lot if you're going for a fast expansion. And on this map, of course, you can take this very easily, this gold mine, just very easily. As you can see over here, it's very easy to do. You pick up a tome plus a nice item. It's going to be a claws of attack plus 6 for the Archmage. And of course, now we're going to see that he's going to go for that expansion. And in case you're wondering what hero is Lucifer going, Dreadlord. He's going Dreadlord. I was hoping to add a little suspense there, so if you haven't already seen the game. And as you can see, yes, indeed, he is going to go ahead and buy a sacrificial skull. That's going to allow him to make some blight. He does have that acolyte right there, as well as that rod of necromancy. So he's going up for this expansion right now with a Dreadlord first. This is indeed for NGL1. This is a very professional game. Neither player is messing around right now. This is very serious. NGL1 at the time was considered probably more prestigious than anything is currently considered in Warcraft 3. So if you think that they're messing around, this is full-on strategy. And of course, I just realized as well, we don't have the replay bar, the health bars automatically on. I forgot about that. So I'll have to hold Alt to actually pull those up, and I'll try to keep those up during battles and such. But anyway, so as you can go ahead and see, that's indeed Lucifer going for the expansion. Going to start with the ziggurat. Of course, he will get that Tome of Strength. That's going to be 25 extra HP for his Dreadlord. And if just working on getting that level 2, level 3 blade Dreadlord, whatever he's going to go there, of course, just creep this out. He is level 2, gets to that haunted gold mine. Over here, we can look at the progress. mouz.ToD, of course, sitting pretty nicely right now. As you can see, that town hall is going up. He's building it with 4 guys. He's got 1 guy building those extra towers, 1 arcane tower right there. Of course, back in 2008 or so, towers were more common. Well, I say more common with human players. Lots of towers were more common because masonry was a little bit better, and repair rates were a little bit better. And of course, those are things that have simply changed over time through the patches. The exact values I'm not 100% sure on because they've got a couple of changes, and usually they're base changes, so I'm not sure. Well, that is actually that was a little misleading. They don't necessarily multiply, but I'm gonna quit bothering you all with that nonsense. So anyway, we have down here that there's going to be a skeleton where we're just scouting out. And what he's doing, he's looking for any kind of sneaky expansions coming in from ToD. And up here we're going to see it looks like ToD will go ahead and actually begin to cancel this expansion. He will be able to cancel it, no problem. As you can see, that's a level 2 Dreadlord, going to be able to he sold his TP, in fact. And he's going to be able to easily get a sleep surround off on that Archmage. Going to force the TP, and indeed now he can actually go ahead and rebuild that haunted gold mine. That's very, very important on this map. That he can actually force him to TP away, because this is a very big map. In order for ToD to actually cancel that gold mine again, he has to run all the way back over here right now, like almost immediately, or he has to go up there to the shop and pick up a staff of teleportation or something. And the point is like if he ran all the way over there right now, he's going to be guaranteed to lose his hero, so he has to come over here, has to pick up the staff of teleportation, probably going to want to pick up boots of speed as well. Dreadlord's not a very fast hero, and indeed he's going to get both of those items. So of course now we're going to see he's trying to send his footman army over there, but that's going to get intercepted by the Dreadlord player, by Lucifer. Of course, I definitely should be using both of these players' names, as they're both, of course, legends, absolute legends. And if you didn't know, look at that wonderful micro right there. Doing that without, and the reason I said wonderful micro is because he did that without the Unholy Aura. Normally you see players struggling to get surrounds off with ghouls versus footmen, because footmen are very easy to not surround. To be very, very difficult to surround, and of course that's even with Unholy Aura. With this, these ghouls are moving at regular movement speed, and of course he does have that Dreadlord, so the sleep surround, that one wasn't very particularly impressive, but the first one I thought was pretty good. And of course he does have a lot of ghouls, but nonetheless that doesn't really matter. Because, you know, you only need 4, but I guess it's a little bit easier when you have this many goals. But of course with footmen, you still have to get those 4 core goals very tight. So it's not quite so easy. But regardless, of course, their both players are creeping right now. You're going to see ToD moving up here, and I was saying something, but I forgot, so that's good. But we will see ToD is teching up. He is getting a couple more of these guard towers up here. He's going to go ahead and throw down a blacksmith at this point. And as you can see down here, ToD, of course, going for a couple more towers, but he is sitting a little bit easy right now on towers, saying, you know, I don't think he has too much to worry about, because you know, he is going versus Dreadlord first, which is a very interesting choice. But of course, we will see Lucifer throwing down a crypt up here, and he does have 1 crypt in his base. He's at 2 crypts, probably going to get a couple more, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 crypts, and that's pretty standard on a map like this, when you're going ghouls, because a lot of times you'll see yourself going gargs, maybe creeping out these islands over here. Of course, these islands not particularly impressive in terms for guard creeping, because of this granite golem right here. It's level 9. It's very, very powerful golem. Of course, with ghouls, it'll simply provide a very large thunderclap. That's not really a great thing, but it can attack air as well. So gargoyles, however, do a lot better job creeping out these islands than the actual than ghouls do. Of course, you can have both if you want, but gargs are pretty good there. Not the greatest, but again, pretty good. Of course, we're going to see this fight going underway. It looks like a sleep immediately placed on the Archmage. You're going to see ToD trying to keep it microed really well and out of a surround range from Lucifer. And as you can see, he's still going for that. And of course, Lucifer doesn't have quite enough mana for another sleep yet. And there it is indeed. And this time, we're probably going to see if ToD does get surrounded, he's going to just go ahead and TP out, but not going to actually happen. As you can see, this is a complete cluster. Indeed, actually, nope, the Archmage will end up getting surrounded by those ghouls. That was kind of hard to follow. There was a lot of units right there, and there are a lot of creeps just kind of pulled into that fight as well. So a little bit unfortunate for ToD. I think he might have wanted to TP out there with that staff. Of course, he didn't really have a choice. He couldn't really do that. You're going to see 2 ghouls getting double surrounded right there by those footmen. Really nicely done by ToD. You're going to see a 3rd ghoul maybe going down. Yes, indeed, to these water elementals. ToD saying, I don't have my hero, but I'm not going to give up this fight just so easily. And it's a good thing, otherwise Lucifer would have certainly got that null overseer. We might even see ToD going for it here, just because if he can steal the experience, that would be great for him. And of course, if he can actually steal the item that way as well, and it looks like he's going to be able to. And of course, Lucifer says, I can't really fight that many footmen with ghouls. And of course, there's also really those 2 water elementals that are a big deal as well. And up here we can see this was crept out a little bit earlier ago by ToD. He's going to go ahead and throw down his 2nd expansion already. Of course, just getting those towers up. That is going to be 2 guards and 1 arcane, 1 scout tower. It's probably going to be upgraded pretty soon as well. And over here we can see that ToD still has this expansion going pretty strong. And actually, I'm kind of surprised right now that we're not seeing more towers, simply because, like I said earlier, this was a time when mass towers was very common. But of course, ToD is a good player. He can adapt. He says, okay, well, since you are going with an expansion, you're going with ghouls, I know that the main reason to get towers is because of the destroyer push. So it's still somewhat common back at 2008, you know, he's like, well, if you're going to do that, you're not going to be able to get these destroyers for a long time. So instead of focusing on more towers, I'll actually throw down a second or a second expansion, so I can have a total of 3 gold mines. And then if I need to put down a lot of towers, if you go for that tech, then I can go for those towers. But as we'll see that right now, we're just going to see 2 slaughterhouses are going down for Lucifer, so we might actually see maybe a destroyer push coming one way or another. This is a little bit delayed, but because it's 10 minutes into the game at this point, and so it's about a minute past when you would actually normally be hitting with maybe 2-3 destroyers, because it's about your regular 9-minute destroyer push. But it's not terribly too late, actually. So we might see ToD going for something there. Of course, we will see a second hero will be the Mountain King. As you can see, he's just trying to creep him up right now. And he did pick up the Wand of Mana Stealing. That was the item that was dropped by that Null Overseer right there. Would have been a really nice item for the Dreadlord to get. Is he going to leave that Circlet of Nobility? He might actually do that. He might have had this army actually on shift click just to go ahead and get it around with, you know, while he deals with everything else. He's building a workshop down here at that first expansion, taking up the castle, and of course, there is going to be a lot of potential stuff that happens in this game, because when you're seeing a game where it's going late game with human versus undead on a huge map where both players are going for expansions, you can see any number of different dozen crazy strategies, different unit compositions. And of course, Lucifer has a level 5 Dreadlord. That happens because he's, you know, well, he was tier 2 with just that one hero. That gives him a 15% bonus experience pool. And then he did go ahead and he was level 3 when he crept out this orange as well as this orange right here. And he's got some pretty good items. We can see a Scroll of Healing. He does have that Talisman of Evasion and Ankh of Reincarnation, great item. Boots of Speed, very, very good, as well as the Hellstone and Talon Portal. Now, the cool thing is, now that he is level 5, you can see he has level 2 Vampiric Aura, which means he has level 3 Sleep. Level 3 Sleep costs 50 mana, so with 200 mana, he can cast it 4 times. With 435, he can cast it probably 9 times just from the regeneration of it. But here we can see that looking at the food count, there's a really nice Ingel info board here you can actually pay attention to if you want to. Lucifer is broken up. It's at 65 out of 70 food, and here comes ToD sitting at 50 out of 90 food. Gonna maybe try to go for some sort of a fight here, but definitely with the nice Thunderclap, actually gonna have a nice AoE to try to deal with these. Gonna see a sleep immediately placed on a Footman. Gonna be a micro nightmare for ToD at this point. As you can see, him just going ahead and trying to deal with this, but he is overwhelmed. These ghouls are gonna be 2-1 upgrades versus 0-0 upgrades on those Footmen, and indeed we're gonna see ToD TPing out of this fight, saying, I can't take that fight at all. There's no way. And that's true. There was no way that ToD can actually take that fight. The problem is at this point for ToD, of course, he does have a Scout Footman down here. The big problem for him facing him is that Lucifer is sitting at 60. Wow, it keeps wanting to go. There we go. 63 out of 64, or 64 food out of 80. ToD sitting at 50. And how many towers does he have? Not a lot. He doesn't have nearly enough towers, but we will see. Gonna have 3 workshops right here. Looks like he's going for flying machines, and of course flying machines aren't a bad counter because he's definitely probably expecting destroyers or gargoyles 1 if you're seeing this many ghouls. And of course it looks like Lucifer is going to go for a push here, and we can see there's no way that ToD could defend it with this army. He has a level 3 Archmage. It's almost dead. You know, this level 3 Mountain King has got some decent items: Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, Healing Scroll, but ultimately it's not going to work out too well for him if he tries to defend this, unless he has a lot of towers here, or if those towers actually do a lot of damage. And it looks like this isn't, I mean, you know, it's questionable as to whether this is gonna work or not. But here comes Lucifer, gonna try to deal with this expansion. He's gonna have to go for the towers. As you can see, he's taking a lot of damage, going to lose a gold, but he isn't giving experience to ToD. It's very important. When you lose units to towers, you don't give experience, so we need to see ToD either. If ToD does TP in, maybe gonna come up here and summon in some militia, then TP in, but maybe he'll just walk down here. We're gonna have to wait and see. Of course, there is a Paladin third coming out as his 3rd hero for him. And this fight, as you can see, really nice micro from ToD, just keeping that Arcane Tower on this Dreadlord every time he comes into position. We will see a sleep immediately placed on the Mountain King, and there is a flying machine. Not going to really do too much because there aren't any guards just yet, but we can see lots of ghouls on their way to reinforce. And indeed, these towers have been taken out. And indeed, we're just going to keep seeing these sleeps on the Mountain King. What that's going to actually do is really nice. We can see a lot of siege engines have been made. Just seeing lots of tanks. Of course, this was tower tank time, prime time for tower tank, and a great map for it. But as you can see, keep that Mountain King asleep, and we can see level 6 has been picked up by the Dreadlord. That means we might see a Infernal being dropped. That does provide a nice stun. There it is. Going to barely miss the stun, barely missing the Mountain King. Of course, as you can see, this fight still going underway pretty well. But ToD not doing too hot. As you can see, he's going to lose a lot of these militia if he tries to fight, Malicious simply don't do too great versus 2/1 ghouls that have level 2 vampiric aura. And this very, very powerful Infernal just going to do a lot of damage, 49 to 60 chaos damage. It does splash, and it does have a very, very nice immolation effect around it as well. You see that Mount King will go down. It was sleep surrounded right there, and indeed it's going to die. That's level 3, and Todd not going to give up. He still has tanks coming out right now. 6 tanks on the field, I believe. At this point, we can see these 3 tanks coming in here. The tanks don't currently have any upgrades, but we will see 2 of those getting immediately surrounded. Unfortunately for Todd, you will lose both of those, and let's see how can Lucifer deal with this at his base. He does have 1 meat wagon there. Will he go for the repairs, or will he just let that slaughterhouse die? He can afford to, as he also has this 3rd expansion that is now finished down here at the bottom lower left side of the map. Over here we can see a 2nd meat wagon, and as well as these 2 ghouls. I'm assuming by now they're frenzy ghouls. And indeed, he's going to have to deal with this that way. And of course, he has plenty of spirit towers, 2 spirit towers and a Nerubian up here at this expansion right here. So this expansion should be fine. And indeed, it looks like Lucifer is going to be able to take this out. And of course, we can see 2 more siege tanks on their way, but they're not going to actually be able to do much, even if they do come out. And I'm not convinced they will. As you can see, this is level 3 masonry upgrade. So it's going to take Lucifer a while to chew through these buildings. You can see one of those workshops will go down before that tank comes out. This siege engine should be queued up at the top. Indeed, it is. No, it's actually cute to go this way, but as you can see, he's just going to run away with that, trying to maybe slow down Lucifer a little bit here, as Lucifer just absolutely chews through this expansion. Indeed, we're going to see Todd, of course, still has those tanks over here. And, of course, we can look at Lucifer now at 84 out of 80 food. And that's an insane amount of food. He has broken high upkeep. Over here, we can see that Todd has found Lucifer's expansion. He does have knights out at this point. He does have castle tech, making more guard towers, saying, I need more towers to defend against all those ghouls. It's like I'm playing versus the Zerg. You know, there's just a swarm of units here. And you know, we're going to see, it looks like, yes, indeed, Lucifer TPing in, trying to deal with this. Now, will we see this teleportal being passed over to the Paladin? No, not going to see that. He tried to wake him up in time to get him before the ghouls actually swarmed him. Unfortunately, wasn't quite fast enough, and indeed, the Paladin did go down to a surround right there. Of course, the Archmage is going to run away now. He did only lose 170 gold to that, and honestly, at this point, it's probably not a terrible idea to let the Dreadlord level. He's already level 7. He's got everything he really needs. Making a level 8, level 9, level 10. Well, it's definitely it's a trade-off, because at that point you're gonna say, well, the Dreadlord does become more powerful, but if he ends up with Carrion Swarm, that's a huge drain on his mana. It doesn't really do a lot of damage. Not really a big deal. Secondly, if he dies at level 9 or 10, getting him back into the game compared to level 7, oh, that is dreadful. It takes so long for you to actually revive your hero early, like at those high levels. So, you know, it's not a huge deal, you know, to give him some experience, I don't think, at that point. And of course, it's only 170 gold to bring that Paladin back out. So I think it might have been worth keeping the town portal. Of course, Todd was, I'm certain, thinking of those things, because he could have easily passed that town portal to the Paladin. And I say that because Todd was someone who was very much a resource player, very much economy based when he played. Of course, a lot of human players were the really best human players, always tend to be. Because a lot of their gameplay is around banking up, and of course you see that with Fu, you see that with Yumiko, and you see that, you know, today it's not applied the same way, but it's kind of the same thing. But up here we will see that Lucifer is going for Todd's expansion at the top, and indeed this is going to be just another big swarm in here with that Dreadlord. Gonna go ahead and pop a Scroll of Protection. We can still see these ghouls are at 2/1 upgrades, not really gonna bother with higher level upgrades. And of course, these are 3 upgraded masonry towers. You can see they're very powerful, but again, since they're not feeding experience when they die to these towers, it's not a huge deal for Lucifer to go ahead and do this. And of course, this was a kind of a strategy where, yes, will we see these ghouls going into the trees? Yes, indeed we do. Seeing a very nice little move right there. TP down here to go ahead and try to deal with this. Of course, sleep the hero so he can't TP out. Do as much damage as possible. And of course, we'll see what happens here, because trying to keep this Haunted Goldmine alive, if you can, that would be great. Gonna go ahead and be able to take out a Knight. Of course, finally, that Archmage is no longer asleep. I believe the Water Elemental woke him up, and indeed, barely gonna be able to keep that Haunted Goldmine alive. But up here, what he did with the ghouls, when he TP'd, he actually right-clicked these ghouls to the trees. And so the trick there is that when you do that, those ghouls are considered mining the trees. You can actually see they started to harvest that one tree right there. And they don't TP, because you don't normally TP your workers. They're just counted as workers that are working. they don't get TV'd out. And indeed, so that's what's going to happen right there. It's a very nice trick, allowed him to take out a couple more of those towers. Of course, ToD will be able to defend his expansion. Down here we can see that he's got a lot of towers up. Is he going for this expansion? He wants to rebuild this expansion. It's got 6,600 gold left in it, so he does want to go ahead and get that up. Now this is a lot of towers. If he gets all of these towers made, he'll be in good shape, but he does have a dire problem with wood right now. 2.1k gold, 50 wood, or well, 100 wood now, 116 wood. So it's a big issue that he needs a lot of wood right now. Of course, we can see Lucifer at 80 out of 100 food. He is doing really well. 100 and it's 180 gold, 380 wood. He's doing just fine. You're gonna see another. It's gonna be a jack actually happening for ToD. ToD gonna go ahead and have getting forced to TP, but it was probably worth it because he did pick up an ancient Jango of endurance. We actually saw Lucifer trying to deny the item on the Mountain King, and the Paladin was slept one of the heroes that he thought might try to pick up the item and hope for the best, and it didn't quite work out, but it was a good effort nonetheless. Up here we can see it looks like maybe ToD's not even gonna bother trying to rebuild towers at this base. He says, you know what, chances are this is gonna go down. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. Except actually try to force Lucifer to, keep defending, keep TPing. And that's really the strategy that we're seeing ToD play right now, saying, maybe if he was more prepared for it, he could have gone with air units or something, maybe mass flying machines, mass Griffin Riders to try to deal with that. Of course, he needs mass flying machines to deal with maybe some Gargs. That would almost certainly be the case. And then Griffin Riders to deal with, the Ghouls or the Crypt Fiends. But he was kind of caught off guard, I think. He wasn't really expecting what Lucifer is doing right now. This is a surprise kind of strategy. It's kind of a one-off strategy from Lucifer. I don't know if Lucifer ever played this strategy again in a professional level game. But like I said, a very iconic game nonetheless. And of course, it doesn't really matter if he wins or loses, or if ToD wins or loses. This is just a great game. Of course, we're going to see Lucifer TPing back down to this expansion. Going to try to defend this one. Going to keep it alive, maybe. Now here you can see this is an unfortunate situation for ToD. Forced to pop a potion of lesser invulnerability on the Mountain King, and we're going to see him trying to run away at this point. Going to see that Archmage getting into a bad spot, and now he's going to go ahead and be forced to TP out. And of course, that would cost him a lot. He was actually, it looks like he might have been buying time for that Paladin to get there, so he didn't lose the Paladin as well as he was running across the map to those ghouls. Those ghouls are very, very fast. They are frenzy ghouls, as you can see. Look at that, fast and fast. So they are frenzy ghouls. Of course, you can tell that they're frenzy ghouls if without any aura. This says speed, fast attack speed, and movement speed is fast. That's one way you can tell. Alternatively, you can just kind of eyeball it. These look like frenzy ghouls. They're very, very fast. Sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to tell if they have unholy aura if you're not, used to seeing the differences between unholy aura with frenzy and unholy aura without frenzy, but nonetheless, that's always a surefire way, is just to look at that. And now over here we will see that ToD is still in the game. Actually, he has actually lost his expansion up here. I think that was when Lucifer was forced to TP down here, I think. And indeed, we can see over here that trying to go ahead and get this up, there is a shade right there. I'm not sure if that shade's actually blocking the town hall. I'm assuming it is, because it looks like the town hall would go right about here, and that's where the peasants are, and that's where the shade is. So they can't actually build anything there as long as that shade's right there. And of course, there it is, the reveal. Trying to say, because he was saying, I can't build here, what's going on? He had to come over here to the Goblin Laboratory and go ahead and reveal that. Now you can actually start to build that town hall. Now there's a lot of towers right here. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 towers right there in a very big kind of cubish sort of situation shape, and that's so that if those ghouls try to run in, they're gonna have a hard time actually attacking the ghouls. You can't really surround a lot of these towers because they're connected. You have to run all the way around them, and that's a really, really important kind of building placement by ToD. He does have a couple that can happen, but if you try to swarm around this guard tower, for example, you have a bunch of ghouls that are all going for that, and it's going to be kind of really difficult. It's not going to be very easy for those ghouls to actually get in there. But Lucifer not looking to run in ghouls in. Of course, he is slowing down an expansion right here as well. He's going to go ahead and we're going to see some siege engines coming in from ToD. But we're going to see Lucifer just dropping in his level 9 Dreadlord right here, and that's going to do a lot of damage, of course, with the Carrion Swarm and the Inferno and the Sleep. And of course, tried to stop the Town Hall from going up. Almost did even. As you can see, that was really, really close. If he had been just a little bit faster, he would have been able to kill all those peasants and easily stop that from going up. Of course, we're going to see that Town Hall will go down, unfortunately, I'm sorry, the Inferno will go down, unfortunately, for Lucifer, because that guard tower, that's a lot of damage from those guard towers. Now, this peasant is slept, and we're going to see that Zeppelin dying right now. We're going to see the Dreadlord kind of being slowed right now. He is kind of dizzied right now. And I'm going to go ahead and TP, because he's going to, where is he going to TP to? Maybe over here? It looks like over here, indeed, going to try to deal with that siege engine, trying to deal with this army. And down here, we can see that these siege tanks, they're not really going to do a lot versus Frenzy Ghouls. Frenzy Ghouls do a really, really good job for dealing with siege tanks. because frenzy ghouls, they kind of swarm the siege engine, and then the siege engine actually can't really move. It can't attack the ghouls, it can't do anything, and just dies. So if you have a lot of ghouls, that's great versus tanks. Of course, meat wagons also do pretty well. And that's kind of why the general idea is, you know, a couple of frenzy ghouls, couple of tanks. The frenzy ghouls just kind of block the tanks, and the siege and the meat wagons do the DPS. But you don't need the meat wagons if you have enough ghouls to actually just surround all the tanks. And here we can see that Dreadlord or Lucifer has picked up a Death Knight as a second hero. And here you can see once again Todd gonna get jacked on this red creep camp, but he will pick up that Warsong battle drums, a great item. And will he actually be able to TP out of this without losing anything, or will he even just be able to walk out, doing a lot of damage, picking off these ghouls right now? As you can see, a ton of AoE has been done, and indeed there it is, that level 4 Mountain King, or yes indeed, being very, very powerful. Gonna go for the Holy Light, gonna get surrounded or slept on the Paladin, and indeed we're gonna see that Mountain King getting staffed out just barely before he went down. Indeed, the Paladin now in a little bit of trouble. We're maybe going to see Todd trying to pass over something to keep this guy alive. Indeed, going to pass a Hellstone over, and indeed going to go ahead and use that Hellstone. Going to go over, try to get to the Zeppelin, and indeed he will. However, it has been webbed and ensnared. The creeps and the fiends. Not too happy about that, so that Zeppelin will go down, and now we're probably going to see that Paladin actually die. Maybe not. But probably we will. We'll see him divine shielded and slept on the Archmage. So what really needs to happen for Todd is he needs to wake up that Archmage with one of those water elementals, TP out, and indeed very, very close, could still do so. And at this point, would he lose the Paladin? Yes, he will. No, he's gonna pass a TP to the Paladin. Very nice, very slick move, and now he won't lose any heroes from that. Except, no, he didn't lose any heroes at all. Bought a lot of time. Only thing he lost was the Zeppelin and the health potion, which was actually a health stone. And so that was really, really nice play by Todd. Did a lot of damage, caused a lot of damage just from the creeps. And of course, you can see that these ghouls are actually at 3-2 upgrades now. Lucifer's fiends, they don't have any upgrades. A little bit unconventional there as well. So Lucifer doing a lot of very interesting things in this game. Of course, he does have towers down here as well as this expansion. And let's look at the gold mine count. Lucifer is sitting on 3 gold mines, as you can see. 1, 2. Well, let's see. 1, 2. 3. Indeed, and Todd's working on getting this one right here. He does have, does he have this one? No, he doesn't. So Todd's sitting on 1 gold mine, working on his 2nd gold mine. So Todd is quite far behind at this point, but if he gets high level heroes, he's going to actually be able to decimate the ghoul army pretty easily, as we kind of saw in that last fight-ish, if you could call that a fight. Lucifer lost quite a bit. He hasn't lost like a lot, like everything, but he did lose quite a bit of ghouls in that fight. And indeed, we're gonna see Todd gonna have these militia running up here, trying to get up to this tower up here, this town hall, but those are gonna get intercepted. Will they go down? No, they won't. Indeed, we have meat wagons sitting here with 3 attack upgrades, of course, just doing some nice AoE damage to this. Now we can see a fight. It will go underway right here. As you can see, a really nice stun from the Inferno, gonna hit all 3 of those human heroes, trying to keep the Mountain King alive. Probably gonna see him getting staffed out. No, maybe staff was on cooldown, or the staff actually looks like he only has 1 staff, and that was on the Mountain King. I don't recall if this was before the staff change, when you could actually just pass the staff around. This might have been the case. The Mountain, then that's why the staff was on the Mountain King. I think it would have been worth it this game to have at least 2 staffs regardless, because that is, you know, that's an interesting situation with the sleep. But other than that, yeah, we can go ahead and see these meat wagons. Of course, they will be able to take out these towers, no problem. And without those towers there, it's going to be a lot harder to actually keep that alive for Todd. So Todd, with these 2 workshops right here, still pumping out siege engines all game long, trying to do something with them. I think not a great idea for Todd. He hasn't really done too much with these siege engines. I think if he had gone for maybe like an 84 to 100 food, whoops, you know, big heavy air army, he would have had better results. He would be in a better situation at this point in the game. But the siege engines, you know, he can switch out of those at any point if he wants to. He's just kind of been making them because I think he has those workshops there. Also, I think, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I think. But here we can see that Lucifer will take out this expansion. Unfortunately, not going to really be able to see Todd getting any significant returns from it. And in fact, it looks like putting this up has been a pretty big drain on him. He lost a couple of well, I don't know how many towers that was, maybe 5, 6 towers right there that were upgraded. You're gonna lose your town hall, gonna lose pretty much all these peasants, and I don't think he's even mined enough gold really to cover the peasant cost right there. So definitely a big drain on Todd's economy, losing this expansion. And of course, running this peasant right here to that, not the greatest idea, because that's gonna just have, you know, Lucifer probably come down here and see what's going on over there, and he's gonna maybe see some stuff, who knows. But up here we can see that this is a fight going underway. We're gonna see those ghouls, they're gonna be no match whatsoever for Todd's heroes right here. Of course, just that Archmage and that Paladin. And that should be enough right here. There's a town portal scroll, of course, on the Archmage. And now, I mean, the tanks are kind of starting to do a little bit of damage here. I mean, they will see the main base for Lucifer die, and that's not great for Lucifer. Of course, this gold mine's gone. He's got one gold mine down here. He's starting to tech down here for the tier 2 tech after this expansion, and he has, you know, another gold mine right here, but he is starting to, you know, have a lot of damage done to his buildings, and he's gonna have to be careful because all he can make at this point are ghouls and fiends, and if he loses this graveyard, he can't even make the fiends. And of course, the problem is really, and it kind of is a problem. We're actually going to see Lucifer going for this expansion right here as well. But the problem is that these are very bad units versus the high-level human heroes, and of course, we're about to see a level 3 Paladin right there, and of course that's a level 4 Mountain King. If that Mountain King gets level 5, he's going to have a very, very, very powerful Thunderclap, going to rip through these ghouls. And of course, that's a very big threat for ToD, or for Lucifer, and he's going to go ahead and try to kill this with a nice round. It should be able to do it pretty easily. Yeah, that siege engine's pretty slow, the ghouls are pretty fast, so there you have that. It's not anything too worrisome, of course. Now we're gonna see these meat wagons coming down here. This is kind of the last bastion of hope for ToD. He cannot afford to lose these towers, especially not to just meat wagons. So we might actually see, unfortunately, a little bit of miss micro from Lucifer. Yes, indeed. Will he lose that meat wagon? No, barely not. Gonna be able to keep that alive. But we really need to see something from ToD to come up there to deal with these. Maybe some militia or something, and he needs to do it pretty quickly. And so he'd have to run his peasants up here. Maybe even bring that shredder down there to deal with those. There are now 4 meat wagons right here. Will we see one of those are going to most likely die? Yes, indeed, one will die. Tries to micro them away. Going to lose one though, unfortunately. Trying to work on the workshop, but yeah, here we can see a TP in from Lucifer as ToD can actually lose his Mountain King, just trying to finish that Halls of the Dead off, and he should be able to do so. Indeed, he will with just those tanks, so it's going to work pretty well at Mountain King for the tech once again of Lucifer, of course, for ToD. Getting that tech building, very important. Now he's going to go for these ghouls, very important, and of course, he will probably be TPing out probably pretty soon. There it is. And as you can see, these ghouls are now just kind of fodder at this point for ToD's heroes. They're really not doing much. I mean, they're good versus buildings, they're good versus the towers, they worked out pretty well, but ultimately all ToD can do at this, or all Lucifer can do at this point, is make more ghouls. He has lost his Halls of Dead, he lost his Black Citadel, so all he has is that one necropolis, and then he's starting to build this Halls of Dead right here, but not really going to work out too well for him, of course. Well, probably, but it might, but it's going to take him a while to build back up. Of course, he's going to go ahead and kill a couple of, maybe one ghoul, maybe 2 ghouls off. He's at 79 out of 100 food, doesn't want to be in high upkeep right there. And now I can see Lucifer coming down to push this. He can't really push this though. I don't really think so, especially not if ToD actually defends it, which ToD hasn't really been doing, is defending his expansions too much for a little while. He's been kind of going on the all-out aggressiveness, but I think at this point it would be a pretty good spot to defend, and indeed he's right here, you know, and I think he could defend pretty easily. And in fact, he actually has retrained from Water Elementals to Blizzard, and we might see a sleeps around on the Archmage. No, maybe, yes indeed, it looks like it is. Oh, he passed over the Staff of Sanctuary to the Paladin to staff the Archmage out, and he would have easily been able to defend that so easily if he hadn't lost his Archmage right there. And now he's going to have a little bit of trouble because, of course, with that level 3 Blizzard, he would have sat there and just right by the towers, just casting those blizzards onto these guys, slowly wearing down the army. Would have easily killed the meat wagons. And, of course, Lucifer would have been in a bit of trouble. Of course, Lucifer would have been able to keep sleeping and canceling, but the blizzards would have each done at least 1 or 2 waves off each time, and that would have been enough to really keep this stuff alive, easily taking out this stuff right here for Lucifer. And indeed, Lucifer is, you know, buying enough time for that Mountain King to come out, actually. And with the Mountain King come out and push out a little bit, do a lot of Thunderclap AoE, hit level 5 on your Mountain King, you know, maybe level 6 on your Archmage, and at level 6 Archmage, you'd be in really good shape. And of course, that gives you that global TP, and you can really start to outmaneuver Lucifer in the game that way. But now you have to be really, really careful. Of course, he does have that Staff of Sanctuary on the Paladin. Probably going to have to use it immediately on the Mountain King. Indeed, he does. Not a lot of choice, and that's going to pull him right up there, heal him up. Now the Paladin, of course, is level 3, so every time he has Divine Shield, he can pretty much walk up here and do a little bit of damage, but he needs to do that right now to these meat wagons. Of course, just pop Divine Shield, kill the low HP meat wagon, very important. Trying to draw their fire, because they are on hold position indeed with the Paladin. A really nice move right there, and of course we're going to see a lot of nukes being cast immediately on that Paladin. Divine Shield, he popped kind of early, and you're probably going to see the staff, it's been passed over to the Mountain King, and indeed at some point he's going to go ahead and try to do that to staff out the Paladin, I think, to heal him up. But I really think it would have been a smarter idea to just kill that meat wagon. It's only got 40 HP. It's like 1-2 whacks from the Paladin and TP him out. He's in Divine Shield. It would have been pretty good. But as you can see, a lot of these ghouls have died. I mean, where are the rest of the ghouls? They're over here. Not that many ghouls are left. Only 2 fiends, and now these meat wagons. Oh, the meat wagon's in a little bit of trouble. We might see one of those meat wagons go down. Yes, indeed we do. And that would have been 2 meat wagons down if this was killed by the Paladin. But there is a mortar team back here. Of course, mortar team's trying to deal with the fact these meat wagons are just ripping, unfortunately, Todd's base to shreds. And he just needs to kill those meat wagons, and he will be a lot better off. Of course, he does have those 2 mortar teams. Mortar teams are susceptible to getting nuked. And it looks like we might see a fight go right here from these meat wagons, or they might just auto-acquire. Yeah, it looks like they're going to auto-acquire into the tower range. They will get one mortar team off, but they will both die. And of course, we will see that level 4 Mountain King just doing a little bit of sitting around idle, chilling. Here we can see Todd with his Zeppelin over here. I'm not sure if he's going to do anything with that or if he can. But there is now Halls of the Dead. It has been tech 2 by Lucifer. It's pretty much up. And so, unfortunately, this is the situation where Todd, he's got his heroes up, but he's kind of behind right now, kind of far behind, unfortunately, because he did lose a lot of those towers right there. He still has half of his Bastion of Hope. I mean, I guess it's a little over half, but that was very, very hard fought. If he hadn't lost that Archmage early on, this would have been a pretty good position for Todd, I think, because I think he would have got a lot of experience with that. If he had gotten level 6 on the Archmage, I think he probably would have been able to win the game just from that alone. Maybe not, because I mean, Lucifer is pretty far ahead right now, as you can see, but at the same time, I mean, Lucifer didn't have any tech, and I think with a level 6 Archmage, Todd could have actually stopped, point blank, could have stopped him from getting tech. And of course, you know, buys a couple of Zeppelins, TPing him in over here, to blow up the Black Citadel thing right there. And that would have been really, really good play by Todd. Of course, he has the resources to do that still, but he doesn't have the level 6 Archmage to do it, so it's a little bit unfortunate. He does go ahead and lose that gold mine. That's his only gold mine. Lucifer just kind of overwhelming him in this game. And with units, with gold, with everything, with hero levels, with everything. Of course, you can see Lucifer does have that level 10 Dreadlord. He does have a level 3 Death Knight. Does have a level 3 Lich. And so it's looking like pretty good. Of course, there's going to be Lucifer's Scouting Zeppelin right here. Just in case Todd decides to take this out. Now, if Todd finds out with his flying machine right there, he'll easily be able to kill it. Of course, he does need to pick up a Zeppelin himself, so he can actually go ahead and try to take an expansion right here. I think that would be great. Creeping this out could potentially give him an infernal item. You can get a Doom, the Doom item. I don't remember what it's called. It's the thing that lets you summon a Doom Guard, which is really cool as well. And if you don't know what a Doom Guard is, that's the Pit Lord's level 6. When you kill a unit, it spawns a Doom Guard. Or it might be a Fell Guard. I'm not really sure what they're called. But, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and see Todd going for the creep right here. As you can see, this is a very ridiculously powerful creep. Doesn't want to lose his peasants, so he needs to, you know, keep them out of the AoE range. And, of course, just going to go ahead and see him going for killing some stuff. And, that's pretty much what he's going to do, but he's going to have a little bit of a problem as Lucifer's Zeppelin's over here as well. Lucifer with just amazing game sense. Of course, he did get the scout off, but still, pretty good game sense. I mean, I guess anyone could have that kind of game sense, so. Look, I'm just trying to give a nice compliment to Lucifer. You don't have to be so picky about it. So, anyway, we're going to see all those 4 peasants. We'll go down to a level 3 Carrion Swarm, 690 mana on the Dreadlord. Maybe I was wrong about it earlier. That's a lot of mana on a level 10 Dreadlord. Jeez. Anyway, this fight will go underway. As you can see, Todd going to lose his only escape route. Well, no, he won't. Well, maybe. He lost the Zeppelin. Now he's lost the Archmage. Now he's not got an escape route here. As you can see, the staff was on the Archmage, and of course, he's going to go ahead and really, unless he can somehow win this fight, going to lose. Of course, he did actually lose his heroes. And indeed, he did manage to pick up the Mountain King into the Zeppelin, but the Zeppelin will die. Paladin goes down, Zeppelin goes down, Mountain King goes down, blah, blah, blah. And Todd calls good game. So, congratulations to Lucifer. He won his NGL match. Of course, NGL style, he actually got a Scroll of Animate Dead. Great item. But NGL was essentially a style where basically you'd have one player and they would go until they lost, and you'd have lineups of 4 players each, so each team would have 4 players. So MYM would have 4 players and Mouse would have 4 players, and I'm not going to spoil the result. If you'd like to, you know, maybe check out the other games. This is 1.21 from this NGL match. And we might even end up seeing some of those maybe happening in, you know, future. I don't know if we will. Probably not, but you never know. but you still can find it. It's still out there if you want to watch it, even though it probably won't ever be on this channel. But yeah, but essentially the point is that you go until you lose. So an all kill is if Lucifer kills ToD and then he kills the next 3 people on Mouse's lineups. These were all best of ones essentially. And so that's that's NGL style. I'm just explaining it if you didn't know. And so this is the only game that was played between Lucifer and ToD in this particular NGL match. And that's pretty much that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the game. I thought this was a very iconic game. I've actually talked about this game a couple of times in some of the casts because this is one of my favorite games of all time, easily. I really love this game for so many reasons, so many things I love about this game, and I hope that you guys who hadn't gotten to see this game before, really enjoyed it, because I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed coming back and watching again. And not all of the Crown Replays games are going to be from old patch or games like this where I think kind of are casting them because they're very iconic games. This wasn't necessarily the closest game. I do think ToD was in it a lot better than what a lot of people who, at the time when the game happened, a lot of people thought ToD just got steamrolled. There's a lot of discussion on a game like this, very, very big game. And personally, I think ToD wasn't in a terrible spot in a lot of this game, where he was definitely behind, and but with high-level human heroes, I think, in the fact that he kind of screwed over Lucifer's tech, I think he had his shot. But I think maybe he was just a little bit too slow there with keeping his heroes alive to nukes. Of course, this wasn't played on LAN, I don't think. Was it? It might have been. I don't think it was, because I think this might have been a qualifier match or something like that. I don't really recall, but it definitely looked like ToD had some lag there. Looks like ToD had some delay. And if he had just been able to keep those heroes alive, just been able to use those items, just been able to get a little bit faster with that micro on the heroes, I think he probably would have, if not won the game, he would have been it would have put up a much longer game, which would have been amazing to actually have seen this game go on a lot longer, actually. So a little bit unfortunate, a little bit of a shame, but hopefully, like I said, a great game, and I've kind of rambled for enough time, and I just realized I was still holding Alt. My finger kind of hurts, I had to let off. But anyways, so that's the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Sorry about not having a cast up yesterday. Hopefully this one will make up for that. And I've got the next Crown Replay game, that's the other thing I should talk about. I do have a couple of, I have a list right now of games that are in the Crown Replay list, that I want to cast. And the next one, we'll just say it's a doozy. It's another great game, and I'm kind of excited about that one as well. But people have been sending me some messages about the Crown Replays and saying, hey, why don't you cast this game for that? And there's a lot of good ideas in there, and I won't be able to respond to all of those messages because, well, there's a lot of them. And that's been over the past 2 weeks or ever since that first Crown Replay happened. There's a lot of them, and I won't be able to respond to all of them, sorry, but I have read them. I just want to let you all know that I have absolutely read all of them. I've read all the comments, so I have the feedback. I've got it. I've read it. I will try to respond to things as best as I can, as often as I can, but of course, I am going to school right now, so that's a bit of an issue. And I think that covers everything. I think that covers everything. So if I've missed something, who knows? We'll work it out later. But anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.